I started getting into art basically because when I was at school I was dyslexic, but at the time there was no such thing as dyslexic in the 70s, so they called you something else which was quite derogatory really. But and my mum used to be interested. She was a teacher and she used to do life drawing classes. She was really into art. She used to drag me around to art galleries, and every time she'd come home from her evening classes, she'd show me her work, and I got interested in it. And then when I was at school, I just got really interested into drawing, and I liked it because I struggled with my writing, dyslexia. So I liked it because I got praise for it, for my drawings. So and it was so I just carried on doing it. I was praised for it. And I've been drawing all my life, and then when I left school, I got a job roadieing for bands, and while the bands were setting up, I used to draw on beer mats. I just used to sketch because we'd have hours waiting for the bands to come on, so I used to sketch on beer mats, and I just collected them. And I used to draw punk rockers and all kinds of music. And one day someone said, "Oh, you should take these to art college." So I remember going to art school in Rochdale, and I took these bags full of beer mats down and I emptied them all out, and I got onto an art foundation course. Yeah, so when I finished uni, I got a job part-time at Rochdale College teaching foundation, and I had a studio, and I was working for, in the studio teaching, working, and then one day I got a phone call, my studio was on fire. And I rushed down there and I lost everything, all my drawings, absolutely everything. And at that point I couldn't deal with it because it was so much. All my prelim work, all the drawings I did from being young at college, all went. So at that point I decided to just quit art completely, and I threw myself into teaching. So I went teaching for 10 years, 12 years in colleges and schools, but I never did any drawing or painting in that time. I just didn't want to deal with it. And then me and my family decided to move to Italy, Verona. And we lived in Verona. And weirdly enough, we moved in. This apartment was above an art material shop. And my wife constantly said, "Why don't you start drawing again?" And I was just adamant I wasn't going to do it. So for months I'd say, "No, I'm not going to try it." And then she talked me into it one day and said, "Just get a pad and some drawing materials and just do it for some fun." So I bought myself a pad and some charcoals, and in the evenings I'd walk around the streets of Verona and I'd just get my pad out, and just for fun I'd be sketching the architecture and people, and I was really enjoying it, and I think that's when the spark came back, and I'd be sat in front of the arena, and then people would be a crowd around me, and then next minute somebody would say, "Oh, could I buy it?" So I was like, "Yeah." So I was selling my work there, and then I exhibited a few times over there, and then when we finally moved back to England, we were both looking for teaching jobs. I said to my wife, "I think I'd like to give it another go and start working professionally again as an artist." And that was it. From there, it was hard at first, struggled at first, but I just kept going, and it just took off. There was a period in my life where I moved to Taiwan, and I thought I was going to study calligraphy there. I thought I'd study calligraphy, but it's such refined work. I thought it was very expressive, but I realised it's so not expressive in that way. It was so quite tight, and I think at that point I realised that I needed to be freer. And I've got a Bible kind of book. Certain artists that really inspired me was that I've got a copy there. I always have it on hand. If I'm needing some inspiration, I always go to Nothing If Not Critical by Francis Bacon. So the work that I did before before my studio burning down was very sort of self-indulgent kind of artwork. I didn't have a family to support, and I was just doing it for myself really. So a lot of abstract stuff, a lot of work ended up in the bin. I really didn't care about the end product. It was all about the actual act of creating, and and I think I'm so glad I did spend decades doing that, because I think that's where I learnt my confidence to just go for it, and I think that's when by being so prolific, I think I found my style in that time. And the thing that really, I think that when my work I think is more successful is when I hear that it can inspire people, and I think that's really important. I got a message off a lady who took her daughter into one of the galleries, and she saw one of my pieces, and she discussed with her mum how she thought it was scribbly kind of effects. And she was talking to her mum that her teacher had said that her work was too messy, and then she wrote to me. So I wrote back to her, and I did a little drawing for her, and she sent me her drawings, the girl, and she thanked me for it, but because I said, if you're a scribbler, you're a scribbler, and that's your style. So when I hit a block and I'm working in the studio, and my creative passenger has left me, so to speak, I go mountain biking and I play the guitar, and those three kind of help me calm my mind, my dyslexic mind.